All right, let's talk about a word that makes pretty much everyone in a company a little nervous: austerity. Especially when you hear it near the IT department, right? It almost always means one thing: budget cuts. But what if it didn't have to? What if it was really about getting smarter, not just cheaper? Let's dig in. So let's paint a picture here. In pretty much every business, there's a moment when things get tight, the financial squeeze is on, and leadership starts hunting for places to save money. And it feels like every single time, the IT budget is the first thing on the chopping block. You ever wonder why that is? Well, it's not just a bad habit. As you're got to see, there are some really powerful forces at play that make IT a prime target. It's really a battle on two fronts. On one side, you've got something like an economic downturn, which puts immense pressure on a company to cut costs just to survive. But on the other side, even in a great economy, competition is so fierce you have to be lean and agile just to keep up. In both those situations, IT is one of the biggest expenses, so it naturally gets put under the microscope.
Okay, so if we're gonna spend smarter, we've gotta put on our detective hats. We need to follow the money and figure out where exactly that huge IT budget is actually going. And I think the answer might surprise you.
And boom, here it is. The biggest clue of them all: 50%. Just let that sink in for a second. Half of the entire IT budget is spent on just one thing: hardware. We're talking servers, laptops, all that networking gear, basically the physical boxes that keep the digital lights on. Before you even get to software or people, half the cash is already gone. That's a massive place to start looking.
So now let's zoom out and look at the whole pie. You've got that massive 50% chunk for hardware. Then another 25% goes to software, all those licenses and subscriptions. Tack on 15% for services and support and 10% for everything else. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. A full 3/4 of the entire IT budget is tied up in just two things: hardware and software. Okay, so we know where the money's going. Now, how do we actually save it without breaking everything? That's where the IT savings playbook comes in. And just to be clear, this isn't about making cuts that hurt. It's about making smart, strategic moves. This whole playbook really boils down to 3 key moves. First, you've got to optimize the tech you already have. Then, you need to get a lot tougher when you're negotiating your deals. And finally, you have to bring some order to the chaos by standardizing your tools. Let's break each of those down. First up, we have a total game changer: virtualization. Now, that sounds technical, but the idea is actually super simple. It's like having one physical computer that pretends to be many different computers all at once. So instead of a separate server for every single little job, you can pile them all onto one powerful machine. It maximizes your hardware and saves a fortune on power.
And this right here, this just shows you how powerful that one move can be. You can go from leading 5 or 10 or even more physical servers, all taking up space, all using electricity, down to just 1 or 2 doing the exact same amount of work. The savings on the hardware itself, not to mention the energy bills, are immediate and huge.
Okay, next play: renegotiating. You know, so many companies just hit auto-renew on their big contracts without even thinking about it. Big mistake. That's leaving money on the table. Just by reviewing your deals and letting your vendors know you're looking at their competitors, you can often get a better price instantly. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for better terms. You'd be amazed how often they say yes when they know you're a savvy customer. And our final core strategy, well, it's all about tidying up. Getting everyone in the company to use the same set of software is such a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful way to slash costs and complexity. And this chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this Wild West situation where every team uses different apps, you're just drowning in license fees, and your support team is going crazy. But when you standardize, everything gets simpler and cheaper. And hey, if you can go one step further and use some open source tools where they make sense, you could drop those license costs to almost nothing. But you know what? All these changes, they aren't just about technology and contracts. They're about people. You can have the most brilliant playbook in the world, but if you don't get your team on board, it's going to fail. And here's the thing that so many leaders just completely miss. Your IT staff aren't a line item to be cut.
They are your single greatest asset in this whole process. They're on the front lines. They know what's working, they know what's being wasted, and they often have the best ideas for where you can save money. So, how do you actually get that valuable insight? Well, you have to build trust. That means being totally transparent about why these changes are happening. It means bringing your staff into the decision-making process, not just telling them what to do. And this is critical. When someone on your team brings you a great idea that saves money, you have to recognize and reward that. If you don't, all the other great ideas will stay hidden. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of all. It's this tightrope walk that every company has to do, balancing the need to save money today with the need to grow tomorrow.
This slide just nails the core dilemma, right? On one side, you've got austerity, which is all about survival, all about optimizing for today. On the other, you've got innovation, the investment in new ideas and tech that's going to fuel your success in the future. If you cut too deep for today's savings, you might just be sacrificing your own future. And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Getting smarter with IT spending, it's not really about just surviving a tough quarter. It's about taking the money you save and reinvesting it into the innovations that will actually define your company's future. The real trick is, how does your organization find that perfect balance? That's a strategic question worth some serious thought. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.